Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California, and I'm going to take you along on a turmeric experiment, something I have not done before. I am sitting under my beautiful giant pepper tree, and 30 minutes ago I came out here and started working, and I made a few clips, just clips for myself, so I can come back in about a week or two and remember what I did. Well, I'm going to share that with you because I have no idea what's going to happen. And I'm doing that with all this stuff on the ground, without me composting it or anything. And we're gonna just go and see if we can grow in that turmeric. Let's see what I did, and let's rewind 30 minutes. On my new turmeric table. These are all planted. I'm just starting to put plants in here. Look at a little one coming up. So there must have been a little tiny piece in there. I cut up the leaves and I use that as a mulch. This one needs this leaf off because see what's happening as they've been growing? This is not a planted turmeric. These are pieces. So I have to go through them. So you've got this piece here. That's a little hand. It's got like 3 pieces. I could put that in there. I'm preparing my pots. Now I'm experimenting because I'm actually going to use a lot of leaf mulch coming off the pepper tree. Now, it's going to be an experiment because I don't see anything growing under the pepper tree. So we know the pepper tree stops growth. But can I use the dried leaves on the top and a little bit underneath, because they're breaking down, to grow in when it's away from the pepper tree? So is it the roots underneath the pepper tree that they send something out and say, oh, you are not growing? Because if you look, there is not one weed under this pepper tree. And yet you would think, well, the soil's a little damp, not too much. I never get weeds under the pepper tree. You'll get weeds growing down there, and I have picked a lot to use in my totes. So we'll see what happens. If the turmeric and ginger don't grow, then I know it doesn't work. But if they take off and grow in all this leaf matter, because you know that this massive big tree has got to have pulled a lot of nutrients up for it to get this big and this majestic in the yard all these years when it's split in half on the other side. So we all know that there's a lot of good stuff in this leaf matter. So then I can tell you, yeah, go under a pepper tree if you've got one. This is a California pepper tree. That's the common name. There's also Brazilian pepper trees, which are a little different. Their leaf is different, but this is a California pepper tree. So let's come back soon and see if the ginger and the turmeric, and right now I'm using turmeric, will grow in this pile of leaf matter. And I sure hope so. So we've got this. See, there's a little hand there. That's one. See how it's growing? I'm just separating them right now. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do this. This is just a pot full. That look at this little tiny one. And you do want to separate them. You don't want to keep them like this. I just didn't get to it. Look how tiny it's growing. So I've got tons. You look at this and you think, oh, there's not much in here. There's tons of plants. Look, it's sending out roots. So I'm going to get this all planted. I did these and they're doing good. And just kind of gather up as much as I can from the ground and toss in a few leaves as well and see what happens. So I'm almost done. This is going to be a turmeric table. Nothing but turmeric. This is how I did all of them. I used the pepper tree leaves from the bottom, and what I did was, you can see here a little bit, there's a hole here. This is just some squash leaves so the soil won't come out. You can put, if you got big holes, any leaves there, green is good in the beginning because it will hold the soil, and then once the plant sets, it'll hold really, really good. So I filled it up with the leaves. See, they're all over the ground from the pepper tree. Filled it up, and then I put a little bit of soil, just a little bit of soil. And this is soil from, well, it was just sitting in my wheelbarrow, and it is not potting soil. Soil that came out of compost that came out of another tote. This is what I'm left with. So what we're going to do is start setting this in. Don't worry about the old roots. Just going to set it in. This is the end of it. So I figured I'll take you for the end of it. So I've got one that's got a little piece. We'll set that there. And then I've got all these little pieces. And do not kid yourself. I grow this from skins. So I know how well this will grow. Let's see. This is trying to go up in that direction. So let's just kind of stick it in there. This one is, I'm just going to lay this one. I'm going to lay this one here. And the roots will go down on its own. So I've got that there. And I know this is really too much, but I'm not setting up another pot. Let's see, do I have anything else left here? I kind of laid, yep. I've got this one and this, oh yeah, and this. I think that's it. I just laid the last of the little pieces here. Okay, that's it. That's just a leaf. Now we can throw a leaf in there. Okay, so I don't see anything else. This is just pieces left. All right, so now what I'm going to do, oh wow, this is still too many, but you know what? I can always go back later and separate it. Just set that one there. These are tiny. Well, let's put a tiny one there. And see, I've got that there. I'll push that up there. And for now, we'll do, this is the end of it. I just don't want to do this anymore. Now I'm going to dump some leftover soil. That's it. So there's only compost soil from totes on just underneath the plants, really. Just like that. I don't even have to bury it. Watch what I'm going to do. It's underneath, so it's sitting on damp soil that I just took out of another, well, it came out of another tote. That wasn't growing anything, or even if it was growing, I robbed it. Then I was thin layer. Then I laid the pieces I had left, the last of the pieces, I hope I got them all, on top of the damp soil, and then I put a little bit more damp soil on top. You're saying that's not enough. Remember, all this, see, these are all from the pepper tree. All this is pepper tree. But now what we're going to do, so we're going to go back here, and we're going to start loading the top up. I don't want any real big pieces, though it won't hurt. Let's give the plant really some finer stuff to get through, but they'll push their way through everything. Now, all this I'm putting in here as top mulch, all this stuff from the pepper tree. I don't want any big branches. That's going to turn into soil too. So it's all going to be soil. Trying to get the big branches out. See, now we only see that one that's got a little green, and if we buried the other green, it's okay. Let's see, we want a little bit more maybe, but nothing with big branches. Tell you what to do with the bigger branches. Put it in a flower pot. Doesn't matter if there's any plants in there. Make sure you got holes in there. Water that flower pot and you're going to have soil. You'll have all kinds of microbes and everything. All right, that's it. We're done. Now I just have to go through and water everything really well. Let's see. I've got a watering can here, but that's it. And now we wait and see if this stuff will grow in pretty much straight leaves. The leaves are only broke down by laying on the ground. That's all it's got. And I'm going to go back, get some more water, finish watering everything. If this works, then I don't need any potting soil for turmeric. And I don't think I do. Why? Because the turmeric grew without soil. I had it in that tub there, and it grew. It was growing, and there was no soil. It was going to create its own by decomposing some of the other turmeric that was in there that wasn't growing as fast. But if it can grow without soil that quick, because it's a rhizome and it's growing within its own container, then why can't it grow in just leaf matter from the ground that I don't have to do any work at all, but just pick up the brown leaves that have been falling all over the hillside? So let's come back in a week or two and see what happens. So that's it. That's all I did. I was taking leaves off of chairs that are piled, and then the soil I used was, I had done some changing in the chair guard, and I planted the watermelon on the last tote there in the gold yellow chair, and I had a little bit of soil and leaves and garbage, and well, it's not garbage, it's all Mother Nature stuff. Just threw it in here and it's been sitting, and you know, on its own it's been breaking down. So I used that, and that's what I used just underneath. Like I said, all this here, all the way up to about here, is leaf matter. All the leaf matter that I collected from the pepper tree. Then I put ½ inch, if that, that matter that came out of other totes. No potting soil is in there. Then I laid down very carefully all the rhizomes that I had from the turmeric. Then I put a little bit again on top, kind of to hold it. So I'm sandwiching in the turmeric with this compost that came out of something else a while back. And then on the top, as you can see, it's all matter from this giant pepper tree. So we're gonna come back and see it. I don't see why it's not gonna work. I'll tell you something, what I should be doing. If I wanted to, I could have put a large tray, even a kiddie pool with some holes on this table. That's what I should have done, but I don't have an extra one right now. And loaded it with leaves, also from the pepper tree, and then put the pots on top. I may come back and do that. Now, why would I do that? Because as the turmeric is growing and sitting on top of the leaves in, let's say, a kiddie pool, all those leaves that would be sitting there, same leaf matter from the pepper tree, would break down and turn into compost, basically soil. I wouldn't even have to do anything. How do I know that? I did it in the front yard with my ginger and turmeric. I sat them on trays, loaded it up with leaves, and then as my ginger was growing, I could reach in and grab some great soil if I wanted to, compost, knowing that it was leaves from my own trees, and it works great. So let's come back in a couple weeks. If you don't see a video, remind me, but I'm sure I'll remember, and I'll let you know, yeah, it's growing, or no, it's not. A lot of these, like I said, all these that I planted, a week or so ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe a couple of them, there's only a few pots here. Those were growing without any soil. They were growing in the tub where I had loaded up an entire tub of turmeric that I didn't know what to do with. They started growing without soil, so I brought them out here, did the same thing, gathered up leaves, and they look to be doing really, really well. So I thought, well, why don't I do the rest of them that way, and then we can all sit back and say, hey, turmeric is not particular. All it wants is something to stand straight up in and go. And maybe that's all we need. Because I'm a little leery of some of the potting soil this year. And some of the stuff, I used potting soil on a couple of my gingers in the front and a couple turmeric, and they look a little yellow. But you know what? Since I've been using this, I don't see yellow. I see green. So let's see. So with that, have a wonderful day. And let's see if this massive tree that is stealing all my water out of my gardens can at least do something really good for me as far as growing. And we all know that the Cooper hawks for the past few years nested in this tree. Not this year, but all these other years, they've got a big nest there, and I think they'll nest again coming next year. So it's been good for nature. Let's see if it's going to be good for me. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye. Beautiful.